So here we were merrily for a couple of years or so, I suppose, selling raspberry jam in the South Island with my brother Ian trundling around there with the truck and the caravan, and it was going very well. It took probably 12 months to get the product into the supermarkets, and then it took another 12 months to start to get sort of sales and get things going, and it was really 2 years or in the third year before we started to sell any reasonable volumes of the product. So that's how long it takes, I think, to establish a new product the way we did it when you're coming from scratch. Even with a very, very high quality, it takes 2 or 3 years to get it established in the marketplace. Having done that and got a reasonable response and had the product going in the South Island, I decided that I would expand, because our farm was growing. Remember, we were only doing raspberries at this stage. We were planting out our property in raspberries, and we had about 20 acres that we were planting out. And as we were planting out more raspberries, it takes about 3 years for the crops to come in. So we were waiting for it to develop and to grow into the supply, because we were farmers, we were raspberry growers, and we were further processing and marketing our product, which was raspberries. And the best way to do that was to make jam out of it and to sell it through supermarkets. So the next stage that we went to was to go to the North Island and sell. We went to foodstuffs in Wellington, took some samples up, saw them, referred them back to Foodstuffs South Island, because they're 2 different companies, and asked if they would stock it. Immediately they came back and said yes, they would. They stocked it in their warehouse in Foodstuffs. They decided to do that straight off, so that we didn't actually have to supply it directly to the supermarkets in the North Island. They actually warehoused it, which was a big help. One day I got a phone call from Phil Lemon in Christchurch, and he said to me, "Owen, I've never done this in my life before, and I'm never likely to do this again." He said, "I have a queue of people waiting to get on my appointments list so they can come and see me and talk to me about products they've got that they would like to," he already had an appointments list, which was, don't know how long, but he had an appointments list, and he had a queue of people waiting to get on the appointments list. He said, "I've got a queue of people waiting to get on my appointments list who want to come and present their products to me to see whether we will sell them, and we will warehouse them in our supermarket chain, and we will sell them in our supermarkets." He said, "Owen, I'm asking you if we can stock your product in our warehouse." You see, I had no idea about the industry. I wasn't in the industry. I was a farmer selling my product. I had no idea how difficult it was to get into supermarkets. That was one hurdle I didn't have to overcome. Some people had said to us, "Oh, you never sell your product in the supermarkets." They've been trying for years to get in, but it wasn't even a consideration. I just went and did what I did. And so here was Phil asking, and I said, "Well, look, I'm sorry, Phil, you can't right away, but in about 3 months' time, we'll have the next crop in of raspberries, and that's considerably more than we had last year, and our sales, I would expect, would be much higher, so yes, you can stock it." He said, "That's great." So we went through the process of making arrangements to do that. Now, when we came to supply the supermarket warehouse, we then had to apply the same criteria as what we had to the quality and to the setup of the business, and that is that we had to maintain high quality. We had to make sure that we delivered on time. We had to make sure that we had a good quality product, and we had to make sure that we understood what they wanted, and we serviced them. After all, the supermarkets for jam products anyway don't have a very high markup, and they are absolutely marvellous as far as I'm concerned, because they did so much for us, and they were so helpful. And the reason for that, of course, is that the return to them per square foot of shelf space with our product sitting on it was one of the highest that they had. Many times they said to us, well, the soft drinks and lemonades and various things like that are higher, but your product, your jam, because of the volume and the price, is returning very close to what the best returns were in the supermarket. And that's after all how they measure it, because if you've got a limited amount of shelf space and you're going to sit your products on the shelf space, well then the return you get per square foot of shelf space is a good way of measuring how much money you're going to make in your business. And so if they've got products sitting on there that are returning 5 cents a square foot a week, and you've got a product there that will sell and it'll return $10 a square foot a week or $50 a square foot a week, of course the supermarket's are going to stock it. And that's the only way to get the supermarkets to stock it, is to demonstrate to them. Now they have, especially food shops, they have indicator supermarkets that take a whole wide range of new products and test them, and they're in specific areas and throughout the South Island and throughout the North Island as well. And so you can get a product into that supermarket much easier, and they will monitor the volumes that are going out and look at the return per square foot that are getting on it. And if your product measures up, well then you've got a good likelihood of getting into the supermarket. Basically, that's all it is. If you've got something that the public wants and it sells, the supermarket will stock it. They'll be rushing to your door like they did with us to stock it. There's no difficulty. The problem you have is that when you have a false belief in what you've got, this is the most fantastic whatever it is, and everybody's going to want to buy it. Well, if it's not, and if they don't, putting it into the supermarket's not going to do anything for anybody. You need to establish first whether there is a demand for your product, and whether it's going to sell.